I don't think the two wrongs can ever make a right. But Tanzania has been, although I know this particular ban does not affect Kenya alone, but basically, you know, there's a lot in what is not said than what has been said. Basically, most of this hostility towards foreigners is directed at Kenyans, especially when you're talking about Tanzania. Because we have not seen Tanzania in the recent past treat nationals from other neighboring countries in the way it has, the way it has treated the Kenyans. And this is not just about President Samia. You remember there is one time during the regime of the late Magufuli, when some animals from the Kenyan side were actually, actually sold off as a punishment that because of, our pastoralists grazing on the Tanzanian side, which was for me a very complicated matter because, going to Tanzania, you will not differentiate between a member of the Ma community from the Tanzanian side and that of from the Kenyan side. Basically, when you cross the border at Arusha, it's Maasai land almost all the way to Arusha, and these people speak the same language, they have the same way of life, they have the same economic activity, which is pastoralism, but then you see that kind of hostility. Only Tanzania has purportedly deported Kenyans from Tanzania. And deportation is something that, of course, we know is done by countries that, in quotes, are more developed than maybe our country. And so Tanzania generally has been very hostile, but to answer your question, I don't think these retaliatory measures should be taken in, I think it is something that needs to be approached with a lot of, caution, so that we do not breed even more hostility where there is none. And what we must guard against is, the citizenry of this country, of Kenya and of Tanzania being hostile to one another, We can understand when government gets hostile, but we must be very careful, in my view, not to make the ordinary Tanzanian look at an ordinary Kenyan as not as a brother or a sister, but as a competitor or even an enemy. And Tanzania also has very many problems with the human rights abuse, and that's why the other day again we saw them purportedly deporting Martha Karua, Willy Mutunga, respected Kenyans, just because they had gone there to maybe give more support to Tundu Lissu. And so generally Tanzania has been hostile. And I am not a very good historian, but I'm also told that the original East African community, which I think was stronger than what we have now, the major country, the one country that started throwing spanner into the works was actually Tanzania, if the little history I know about it